Alright, hi everyone. So I'm going to show you how we're using Illustrator to create a character. In this case it's a chicken. I've already started. And then I'm going to show you how to create a bit of a background as well, and then get it ready to transfer over to Photoshop. Alright, so I've got my area set up with layers on the right hand side. Okay, if you click on this drop down arrow, you'll be able to see all of the shapes that are under this layer. Okay, I've got my image here. It's from Google. All I did was Control-C, Control-V, and I'm just using that as a reference. Okay, so I'm almost finished this chicken, so I'm just going to finish it off. So holding Alt to scroll in with the mouse, and I'm going to use a circle tool. Okay. Looks a bit funky at the moment because it's a different color. I'm just going to tap on these two arrows, and now I'm going to use the white arrow tool to move these shapes into place. Okay, so what I can do, because this leg is actually attached to the body, is if I click on the body shape, hold shift and then click on the leg shape, I can go to this tool here, the shape builder tool, and I can actually click and drag these two together. And what will happen is that this shape will join up with this one. Okay, pretty nifty. You can use the shape builder tool two ways. So the way that I just showed you, where you get two shapes, you make sure that they're both selected, holding shift to click on more than one, or you can click and drag. If I go to the shape builder tool and click and drag, it will join them together. Or if I go Control-Z, if I hold Alt and click and drag through, it will cut away. You just got to be careful that you don't go through all of it, otherwise you'll delete your whole shape. Okay, so holding Alt, clicking and dragging, and you can use that to your advantage. Okay, alright, I'm just going to continue editing or creating my chicken, and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm just working on this leg here. I've just used some rectangle tools and joined up some of the shapes here. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to copy this leg over this for this one here. So I'm just going to select it all using the black arrow tool, and if I hold Alt and then click and drag, it will copy it. Okay, so we need to just move this here. Now it's not perfect, but that's alright. I'm going to use the white arrow tool, and let's see if I can get this to move a bit. I'm going to hold shift and click on these points here as well. Okay, hold shift to get rid of that one. Alright, now I'm just going to do these ones here, move these down. It's not bad. Oh, leg is looking a little funky, but that's alright. What I'm going to do now, so I need to select these, so holding shift, and I need it behind this leg. So let's have a look in my layers. So this one, I can tell they're selected because they got the blue squares. So if I click and drag these down below one at a time, it will be behind. There we go. I've got this little thing here, but I think I'll just leave that out. Alright, I'm going to go do the tail now, and then I'll be back. Okay, so here's my chicken. I really had to mess around with the layers for the tail. Okay, and you know, my layers at the moment are a mess, right? So this is for my chicken. If I really wanted to make sure that it was quite organized, I would have a separate layer for the tail, a separate layer for the body, a separate layer for the head. That way I can keep on track on what's what, okay? Because it's quite hard, and you actually can't. Oh, actually you can. You can name these, but it gets a bit tedious when you're trying to say feather 1, feather 2, feather 3, feather 4, etc. Okay, so let me just get rid of this image in the background, and here's my chicken. I think that was pretty good considering how long I spent on it. Quite a while actually. So I don't need this image anymore. I'm just going to press delete, or click and drag it down to the delete trash can, which is in the corner here. Alright, so now that is good. So if I was working in separate documents for my character and my background, I would save this as chicken. So Control S, Control Shift S to save as. So chicken, and you want to keep it as an AI document. You don't want to change it, and you just press OK when another window pops up. If an error comes up, that means it hasn't saved, so you must make sure that you've got enough room on your computer or your USB to save it. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to my layer, I'm going to just click that, I'm going to make a new layer, and this is going to be my background. So I really should be naming this chicken or rooster really, and then background. Okay. And again, I could go get an image, and I can from the internet and go Control C, Control V into here. Control C is copy, Control V is paste, and then I can use the shape builder tool and the shape tool to do those, to make my own version of it so it fits in with this. Okay, so I'm just going to go get an image of a background, and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I found an image. I'm just going to make sure I go onto background, and if I go Control V, there is my background image that I'm going to use for a reference. So I'm going to make it a bit smaller, hold Shift when you drag from the corners, that way it's not going to go all fat or skinny. Okay, and while I'm here, I'm just going to make sure I lock it. So going down into my layers and then pressing this area here, and it will lock it. And while we're here as well, I'm going to lock my chicken and turn off my chicken so I don't accidentally do anything to my chicken. Okay, so this one here I'm going to be using rectangle tools mostly. Alright, let's go under, well, it's called background. Alright, so let's go and make some of these. Okay, I'm going to use the eyedropper tool, which is this one here, or eye on the keyboard. And I'm actually going to have a stroke as well. Oops, that didn't work, did it? Let's try that again. So that one, and then that one. Does that work or not? I'll have to guess. That's alright. That'll do. Okay, so I just need to make sure it's on the right angle, so I'm going to click on it, white arrow, and I'm going to move these to where I want them to go. It might be easier just to turn off the stroke, but I just used that all that time to find it, so I'm not going to do that. There we go. Okay, so we need to have 4 more of those. I'm going to hold Alt, I'm going to click and drag. Okay, and I'm going to do that a couple times. Oh, come on now. Stop being silly. Okay. What I'm probably going to have to do is make a background layer for these slates, just in case you can see the background, so like the white through it. So I'll make that decision in a moment. But yeah, just lining them up, being quite particular. Nice little shadow up there too, I might incorporate that into the design. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to select these, holding shift. I'm just going to turn them off for now, and I'm going to do this window shape. Black arrow tool, holding Alt. This one's a little bit skinnier. Okay, and I'm going to do the bottom. Sorry, I'm just turning on the stroke and off the fill if it will let me. Here we go. Okay. Right arrow, double clicking if you need to. And I'm just going to hold Alt, click and drag. Now, when you're holding Alt and clicking and dragging, you've got to make sure that if you don't have a fill, like this one here, then you need to pull from the edges, because that's the only way you'll be able to select the shape. Control Z, I don't want to do that, whoops, Control Z again. Alright, I'm going to join these together. So holding Shift, go into the Shape Builder tool, and join them together like so. Cool. Alright, so I'm going to continue doing this, and I'll come back with both the backgrounds and the chicken. Okay. As I was working on this, I realized I could show you another trick. So if we use the pen tool, we can actually make some straight shapes. We can also make some curved shapes that will be more customized. So what I'm doing just for these bits here is I'm clicking, click, 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 and click. Okay, now you got to make sure that you've finished the shape. All right, you can you know when it's going to make a shape when you go back to the very beginning and it's a little zero next to the mouse. Okay, now please notice that when I'm starting my new shape that I'm not clicking up here. Now that's because this shape is already selected, and so if I go ahead and click on this, it will delete the shape, okay, or delete that point anyway. So I'm going to click over here. Okay, so going along, and I'll show you with the grass. So let me just finish this off, and I'll show you with the grass how you can use this tool to create curved shapes. Alright, oops. Okay, so the grass is here. Now that's a lot of grass blades. I'm not going to do every single one. I'm just going to focus on the ones that are up here, and I'm going to kind of make it up as I go. So using the pen tool, now I'm just going to turn off the fill, make it a bit easier. So I'm going to make it so it's one big shape. So I'm going to click first, okay? Now you'll see that when I move my mouse, there's this line. So if I click and drag, you can see these anchors, and they pull the shape, just like when you're using the white arrow tool and you're moving the anchors around on a already existing shape. Okay, I'm going to let go, and I'm going to just make a point because the grass blade is pointing at the top. Okay, so just a point. Alright, I'm going to click and drag to make the curve, and then click and drag to make the curve. Click and drag, click, click and drag, click and drag. Okay, and I'm going to do some in a different direction. a little bit tricky, this technique, but you can actually get some nice effects with it. And what you could do, rather than just going ahead and going along and making it one big shape, you can just make maybe a few blades, and then you can maybe join those shapes together. Also, I can adjust these if I want. I'm just getting the general idea. Alright, that'll do. So I'm just gonna make it into a shape, so I'm gonna go back to the beginning. Alright, now I can use my white arrow and I can adjust these if I want. Okay, cool. So what I'll do is I will fill it with a green that I like. That'll do for now. I'm going to hold Alt, I'm going to click and drag. And then if I hold Shift and click on each of these and then use the Shape Builder tool and just click through, whoops, I didn't select them all, holding Shift, I think I held something else, so click and drag through, there we go. Okay, and then I would, whoopsie, double click. Actually, you don't need all of these, so I'm just going to delete them. So it's easier, whoops. It's easier to make a straight line if I only have to worry about 2 anchors, like that. There we go. That's alright. Okay, so I will be back with a finished background. Okay, so I've got my chicken and my background. All I had to do was swap them around, so the chicken is in front of the background. Chicken is looking quite enormous at the moment, but it doesn't matter. Right, so I'm going to show you how you're going to save these images so you can take them into Photoshop. So mine's quite easy because I've already got 2 layers and their name, chicken and background. Okay, so all I would have to do is turn off the I for background, go Control Shift S, or you can go File, Save As, and I call that one chicken. Press OK to everything that pops up, and then I would just do the same for my background. So turn off my little eye for the chicken, turn on the background, Control Shift S, and I will call this background, like so. So as I said, mine's a lot easier because I've got 2 layers. So if you don't have this, then you have the joy of going through every single shape and turning them off. Okay, it's easy enough, but it's just going to take you a little while. Okay, so once I've done that, I'm going to go into Photoshop, so I'll see you there. Okay, so we're in Photoshop, so we just need to go File, Open, and you won't be able to see this, but I'm just looking for my 2 AI documents, so my chicken, and it will come up in a little window. Just say OK. Alright, so here is my chicken. Now I need to get my background. So File, Open, find the background, press OK to anything that pops up, don't change anything. Alright, so here's my background, here's my chicken. So we need to go into the chicken layer, move tool, click and drag all the way up to the tab, all the way down. And here is my chicken. Here are my layers. Right, so I'm going to call this background, and I'm going to leave it as 1. And then this one here, I'm going to call chicken, and I'm going to call it 1. Okay, so background 1, chicken 1. And I'm going to go Control T. I'm going to shrink down my chicken, well, my rooster, really. And I'm going to move, I don't know, I might have my chicken on the roof if I had enough room, but I think I'll just leave it here. Okay, so now we're going to apply the puppet warp technique that we use for GUR. So if you remember doing that with GUR, you're all ready to go. So for those people who don't remember, I'm going to show you now. So you might have multiple things that you're going to move, alright, so it can get a little bit complicated, but as long as you name your layers chicken, for example, chicken 1 and background 1, and every time you duplicate it, it's background 2 or chicken 2, then you'll be able to keep on track of each element of your animation. So I'm just going to be focusing on my chicken because that's the only thing that's moving, okay? So I'm going to go Control J. I'm going to rename that so it's chicken 2. Right, make sure it's selected, go up to Edit, Puppet Warp, and I'm going to make sure that I've got some points on the legs, because remember, if we don't put any points at the bottom of our design, it will just kind of fly around. Okay, so I'm going to have one at the head, because what I want to do is have this chicken kind of do a cock-a-doodle-doo. And I might do something for the feather as well. Okay, maybe the feather can kind of move around or something. There's a joke there somewhere. Alright, I'm going to press enter. Okay, and now I'm going to go Control J. Double click on the layer. This one's going to be chicken 3. Edit. Puppet warp. Make sure I've got some points on the legs. Okay, I'm going to move that. Move this one. Press enter. What else can I do to this? I won't be able to move the legs or anything. The reason being, if I just go Control J and I'll show you. Just name this one, which is chicken 4. If I go to Puppet Warp, if I try to move the legs, the image is actually attached to itself. So I won't be able to move the legs. Okay? So the best thing I could do for this chicken is make it jump around, but they don't really do that. Alright. Oops. Press apply. Alright, so now I've got my animation ready to go, so I need to go window and go down to timeline. My timeline is already here. You'll need to click on create frame animation, and then I need to have at least 4 frames, so I need to go 2, 3, 4, and for each of my frames I need to turn off all the layers except chicken 1 for 1, frame 2 all of the layers except chicken 2, frame 3 all of the layers except chicken 3, and then frame 4 all the layers except chicken 4. Alright, there we go. And I can actually adjust the delay as well, so I might give it a 0.1 second. That's a bit better. Alright, and your character needs to say something, so I'm going to use the custom shape tool, so it's underneath rectangle tool or line tool or ellipse tool, whatever tool you've got here. If you click and hold, there's custom shape tool at the top. We can change it. Ooh. I need to import. Okay, so let's see if we've got a speech bubble. We should have one. There it is. Okay, I'm going to make a speech bubble. I need to flip it around, Control T. Oops, that didn't work. There we go, hold Shift and you'll be able to flip it. I'm going to change the color. Make sure the shape tool is selected. Come on now, fill. Okay. And T for text, I'm going to type in here. I can't see it because it's white. I'm going to need to change it to black. Press enter a couple of times. Whoops. Press space a couple of times. Okay, now I need to go around to each of my frames and turn off the speech bubble until it's here. And we go like that. Oops, this one needs to go down a bit. Okay, let's play it. Okay, this one needs a longer delay. There we go. Awesome. So that's my animation. And now what I can do is I can export it. So if I go File, Export, then you want to go Save for Web Legacy. Now you might not be able to see this window, but you want to keep it as a GIF. So on the right hand side it will say preset unnamed, that's fine. It will say GIF. You leave all of that as normal. The only thing that you need to change is the image size, and you need to make it 300 for the width, and it will automatically adjust the height for you. You do not need to do anything for that. Okay, and I'm going to go save. I'm going to make sure I save it as chicken. I'm going to press save, and I'll be able to play it. Alright, I'll show you the GIF in a moment. Alright, so here is my little video. And you won't need to keep the Photoshop document after this. You need to submit your Photoshop document, I say, but after you finish this course you can just keep the GIF. Alright, thank you very much.